call the special meeting to order. And if I may ask Director Evans, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And may I ask for a roll call, please?
Yes, Director Evans,
Here.
Director Hernandez,
Here.
Director Polo,
Here.
Director Martin,
Here. Whole gang's here. Adopt the agenda for the regular meeting, well, the regular meeting, it's a special meeting today, right? Adopt the agenda for the special meeting of January 13th.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay. Oral communication, I don't see how it applies, but any person wishing to address a matter not on the agenda may be heard at this time. However, no action will be taken until the matter is placed on a future agenda in accordance with board policy. We don't have anyone for oral communication, so it's mute. Notice to the public as far as consent calendar, we don't have a consent calendar, so that's mute. Okay, action items. The next action and only action item we have for today is related to the board vacancy. We have 3 applicants to fill the vacancy left by Director Ferguson, and we have 3 applicants here. And what I'd like to do is ask the 3 applicants please to step outside, and then you'll be called one at a time. When you do come back in, 5, 10 minutes, whatever it is you want to get your story, you have to take a whole campaign season, 90 days, and put it into 10 minutes. Good luck. And then you may be seated, and we'll call the next one, and you may listen after, but not before, because we don't want to mess up anybody's questions. And that's the process. Okay, so very first one that can stay will be Darrell Hale. If you will stay, we'll have you first. The other 2 gentlemen, if you wait outside, that'd be great. I think there's water out there that Dennis put out.
Yeah, we gave them each a bottle of water, so they're good to go.
Water, so you can wet your whistle. Darrell, hope your whistle's wet already.
All right, you want me to step up there?
Yeah, please do. And take your time, and after you've given us, then we're gonna open up the Q&As from the board to you.
That will be just fine.
And then if there's anything else you wanna say at the end of that, you certainly can. I'll give you lots of time. We only have 3 applicants.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity to come up and have the ability to become part of this board, which I hope is the ultimate end result of today. I've sat in on quite a number of the meetings here over the months, and also had an opportunity, as you may have seen if you've read my letter, the ability to go on a couple of the Water Academy tours. I found that very informative. It also gave me an opportunity to speak to employees, not only there, but out in the field if they happened to be working in my area, and not to so much question them or anything else, just kind of say hello and go. So I got a good impression of their customer service level and how friendly they were, and that all shows positive upon the district itself. So, and within these meetings, I've also noticed some other things that I thought was important, and also something to be positive and proud of. And that is the fact that, like, when you have new employees that are hired here, and these are things that I don't normally see at other districts that I have worked at or with in the past, or even cities, the ability for new employees to come up and be introduced to all of the board and upper management here in this room, meeting room. And I think that gives them a positive kickoff right at the beginning. So as far as myself, I looked a lot of these things over, because if you want to come in and you want to make a decision that you want to be part of something, you need to go check it out. You need to find out what makes what makes the district in this case tick. And I've had an opportunity to meet several of you, not only here but at other meetings. I've also read over the website that you have and read that fairly thoroughly, the mission statement and everything else. I've noticed that within that it contains not only just the statement itself, but an itemized breakdown of what that means, how those are focused. So in my past, I've been in this field about almost 40 years now. I've had a pretty good wide range of experience, not only working at a city, then mostly water districts, and also for the federal government out at Camp Pendleton for civil service out there. Well, at the beginning, my first couple of years was at Oceanside and then Camp Pendleton, and that was kind of formative years at that time. Shortly thereafter, I was into supervision and other positions like that, and it gave me the opportunity to meet with local, state, and federal regulatory agencies, different organizations, have meetings, be part of membership of some of these different functions and organizations, and develop skills in negotiating and persuading and coming to conclusions, setting in and having to accept some of the things that you wish you didn't have to, because that wasn't necessarily in your organization's best interest. But I think that the thing that I'd like to give you the most, or at least impress upon you, is the fact that from what I've seen and from what I've experienced and everything else, I would really like to be a part of this board. I think I could make a positive contribution and be an asset to the district. As you know, that like you and I, or I should say, we've had a lot of experiences in our respective fields and everything else. Mine just happens to be in this wastewater field. And I was trying to, and before I got here, trying to figure out how I could relate to you that my previous experience is not what I want to be a part of coming in here, meaning I don't want to come in and run the place, try and run it, or tell anybody what to do. I want to do exactly what you're doing, and that is I feel like that I have this contribution, and I want to do it in a way that it would advance this community and also be something that this district would, that I could contribute to. So, I guess basically that is what I wanted to say, and I'm open for questions now if you'd like to ask.
Thank you. It's a very difficult position you're in. We've all been there.
Right.
So,
It's been a little while since I've had to get up and do a presentation like this, but please feel free to ask any questions.
questions from the board? Anybody want to
Yes,
start?
just your community.
Let's direct to Jim Hernandez.
I'm sorry.
That's all. Yes, sir.
It'll take a while.
Your involvement in the community of San Marcos, the municipal area, our district, over the last years?
What I have been doing primarily is I've been involved with lately the HOA that I live in over at Lake San Marcos.
Mm-hmm.
I have been out on some bids with another person that I know that we try and go and bid for state jobs or something like that. There would be consulting type of positions. And sometimes when you get into some of those, you get some and you don't. But I have retired from public service, so that's the main source of my income. And, that's basically, that's been pretty much it, Be quite concise about it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Director Poto?
Thanks, Darrell, for coming
Yes.
up and taking the chance to
Well, thank you.
completely expose yourself up here. I have a few questions for you.
Yes.
What do you know about special districts?
Well, special districts provide services that there may not be a complete, within a city. where they may, like City of San Diego, where they offer all the different services that would be needed to provide for the community and for the residents there. So special district in this particular case is in water and wastewater. So it's providing the needs of the community for those particular types of services and doing them within the confines of state and federal regulations, and even local regulations too.
Okay. Why do you feel you'd be a good board member?
Well, because I've done plenty of where I've had to go and sit in meetings and make decisions, write rules and regulations in some instances. You know, that's I'm just telling you what my experiences have been. Meet with different, even public, even with the public, and even with news and different types of media like that. I think that also, you know, my past with in the districts and cities, there's meetings of all types of, like I mentioned before, all types of regulatory agencies or different construction companies, engineering companies, even in where we were upgrading facilities, going out and doing an investigation and research on different types of equipment. So I've met a lot of different people and have had a lot of contacts over time, and I've generally considered them to mostly be successful in almost all cases. So I feel like that is something that would give me the ability to contribute.
Okay. What do you believe is the role of Vallecitos Water District as it relates to land use?
As it relates to land use, as well, the point is that there's still a lot of, from what I've seen on the website, there's still a lot of land around that can still be developed, and the point of the of importance of the district would be to make sure and ensure that there's adequate water supplies and wastewater services to address those future land use issues, so the district would not be a bottleneck for any future population or development that would go in here, as you know, as long as it met all the other requirements that would be entailed with building in here, that everything would be approved.
Okay. What do you know about the Brown Act?
The Brown Act is about where your meetings are open to the public, and except for in the case of executive sessions. And so I noticed, like with this, you've gone not only to having your open meetings, but even televising it, so that the public is fully informed and it's transparent. So there's nothing that people can get the wrong impression about what the district is doing, or anybody has something that they're doing illegally.
Okay. What's your definition of integrity?
Integrity is, well, when I start thinking of integrity, I start thinking of a lot of things as far as my involvement clear back when I was learning and growing up, being in Boy Scouts, from my parents, being in Boy Scouts, being in the military. You know, you're honest and you're truthful, and you do things to the best of your ability. And when people, well, that would roll back to honesty and integrity. But I think it would be treating people the way that you want to be treated, in fairness, and I'm gonna pause right there, because I think I've kind of overstated it right now for me. I think I've kind of covered it, and so I'm searching for words and they're not coming, but I think I've covered that.
Okay. I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios, and maybe you can tell me how you would react to those, okay? If a friend or business associate invited you to a lunch or meeting, and upon arrival, there were two other Vallecitos Water District board members there, what would you do?
Either I would leave or one of the others would have to leave if we all recognize that there was beyond the amount of people that would be there that would constitute a meeting.
Very good. If the Vallecitos Water District paid for your room to attend a workshop, and for some reason there was some sort of inconvenience that happened at the hotel, and the hotel offered you a free night stay coupon that you could use anytime, anywhere, what would you do?
I'd probably bring that back and turn that in. I've had that in the past where I've used airline miles and had mileage come back, and that would, in the past, would go back to, like for the city of Escondido, I turned it in there, and they would accrue those air miles. And I don't really even know what they did with them, but it was something that there wasn't anything that I could do to use those. If I wanted to do something on my own, then I would pay for that. So any extra added expenses, that would be out of my pocket.
Do you know anybody on this board or have any interaction with anybody on this board?
Only casually acquaintances that, like I mentioned before, I've met Mr. Martin and Ms. Evans before at a meeting over here for the city of San Marcos, and I've met Mr. Lamb,
Okay.
General Manager Lamb. I've also been introduced to Mr. Scaglione too.
Okay, those are the questions I have.
Well, I feel like you've had a lot of questions there.
Well,
So I'm going to just throw out one.
sure, yes.
Coming to the meetings and reading the newspaper, you know that we are going to have some challenges in the water field.
Mhm.
I'm just wondering how you feel about addressing the issue of the coming possibility of the drought, and where you envision our district 10, 20 years down the road from now in that respect.
And the last part was what I couldn't quite hear that.
How you sort of envision this district 10 to 20 years down the road and in respect to its water supply.
Well, pretty much right now, as far as the last question, about 10 to 20 years, I only see that there's going to have to be a lot more conservation. And I'm sure technology will take us a long way with that also. But we'll also have to, the district will also have to become involved with getting and encouraging the citizens to do whatever steps are necessary in the way of conservation. As far as water supplies go, it's somewhat set, and in fact, what we're talking about set is not so much set as the drought goes, because our weather patterns are cyclic. But I think there's a lot of promise with desalination, and there's a lot of promise with total recycling of the wastewater. That was always something. When I first got into this field, as you may have seen in my letter, I went to the Water and Wastewater Technical School in Neosho, Missouri. And when I came for some OJT, on-the-job training, I went to Santee County Water District, which at that time had the federal funding, and they funded tertiary treatment, several different methods of tertiary treatment. And so that's always been ingrained in me. And then, of course, they went to the lakes and had a pool and all that kind of stuff. So there's reuse of that water. And that's always been ingrained in me, even though I was at districts where, they're getting to a point of having some type of recycling. But that whole idea of recycling that water instead of wasting it, throwing it out in the ocean, is something that I don't like to see. That's a lot of water going out there. And so, with this district, when I was at Escondido, we were going through a $37 million upgrade to our plant to put out reclaimed water to tertiary levels. And that was wrapping up. They were getting ready to put the ultraviolet light disinfection on there, and that was about the time that I was retiring. So I'd seen the whole renovation of the plant and been through all the upgrades and everything else to that. And that was kind of a dream coming true. And so it's kind of a nice thing to happen. I think that that's what we're going to be seeing is the reuse of the wastewater and reclaiming that, reusing that, more desalination, and those are some of the things that are good. Plus conservation is going to be some of the key things that make our district and our communities viable and all of Southern California. I mean, they're all going for it. They're all changing over and doing those same things. So it's not just City San Marcos or San Diego. It's all of Southern California and across the nation to some degree. So did I answer all your questions there? I don't want to miss something.
No, you did.
Okay.
Thank you, Daryl.
Sure.
Darrell, I have just a couple of questions.
Sure.
First of all,
Yes.
I need to applaud you. Before I met you, I saw you in the audience at almost every meeting, and I think that's fantastic in that kind of environment in the community.
I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't realize it was going to ultimately end up at this particular point in time, but, you know, I was thinking, initially when I first started this whole thing, I was thinking that it was going to end up being during the normal, regular voting, you know, and all that, so that, anyway, this is quite a surprise, yes.
It was a surprise to all of us, so don't feel left out there. You mentioned earlier that you were involved with your HOA.
Yes.
You was on the board of your HOA?
Yes, I'm a director on board. I'm a director on the HOA there where as a matter of fact, you were talking, if I can expound a little bit.
Sure, go ahead.
You were talking about water conservation. Just prior to my getting on the board initially, the board had approved and we put in a well over there and we started using well water at our HOA. And we right now, on an overall average, use about 51% of the well water and 49% of Vallecitos Water District. And then I just here a couple of months ago volunteered to start looking at water conservation as far as what we could do there at the HOA to further that. And so, as a matter of fact, today I just called in and talked to get a quote started for over near the pool, which is a good size area, putting in AstroTurf there. And then I called in over here to the district and got one of the people from the Water Conservation District, and they came out, a man came out and went around and started locating all the areas where we could take advantage of changing that out to low water use type of planning and everything else. And it's going to be an expensive proposition in the long run, but on the other hand, just as you said before, what are we going to do about our water solving shortages and everything else? And it's going to be things like this that you're going to have to plan for the future. And we certainly, it would be better to put it out a little bit more money now and get this taken care of rather than going through all the water increases on a dwindling water supply. So the whole idea and whole objective there is to help us reduce our costs for our other homeowners there.
Okay, other than your HOA, have you ever been elected or appointed to any body of any Lions Club, any group whatsoever?
Yes, I was nominated to be on, run the what's called the super group. It was Superintendent's Group of California for the California Water Environment Association. And a friend of mine was involved with the CWEA, California Water Environment Association. And he came to me and he said, you know, I've noticed, recognized that the meeting level, the attendance, the focus of the super group is starting to really wane. It used to be a pretty good group. He says, why don't you take it over? So he nominated me, I took it, and for several years I ran that group as either chairman or assistant chairman. And when I took it over as chairman, and then would take the secondary position the following year, so it alternated between North and Southern California. I was also involved with the local San Diego California Water Environment Association for San Diego region. And so I went through all the chairs there,
Were
So
both of
there-
these ancillary to your job performance at
Oh,
the
yes.
time?
I have a lot of experience that was extracurricular activities. And so, yeah, those were a couple of the main ones that went on for a long time. For a while, I was with AWWA, but that was just, part of being involved with it through the city of Escondido, even though I was the superintendent at the wastewater treatment facility there. And so, yes, there have been other functions and things that I've been part of through the course.
As far as community, I guess, and this is going on to what Director Hernandez asked earlier, community-wise, have you been active in the lake, in the county, in the city, in the? are you active?
No, not here. I've been here since about 2006. I've had this HOA experience. As far as other things go, mostly it has been involved with meeting all these other regulatory agencies and regulatory agencies. So I'm trying to think, but
That's okay.
Yeah.
And during your, earlier you said something, that you worked with someone else, you were bidding on projects?
yes.
What kind of projects, what were you bidding
Well,
on?
one was for a state-run Veterans Affairs home up in Northern California. And it was to go in there and evaluate how they were being charged for the state, because they were having services provided for them by a city, Northern California. And so they wanted to make sure that the facility was being run correctly, and that the charges were, that what they were being charged was adequate. It was kind of doing an audit, if you will. Audit of the facilities, an audit of the charges, and all of that. And the guy that I was in business, or going to be in business with, he is also similar to myself.
So you were bidding this as a job, it wasn't something?
Yes, it was an open bid, yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any
Sure.
other questions from anyone? No?
I'm good.
Thank you. Well, good.
Okay.
Thank you very much. You can sit here and watch the next two if you like to. There's no reason you have to sit outside.
I'm going to sit outside and let them sweat.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to call Leonard Shemp.
I'll tell you.
What's going on? Good. The CWA, Hal, that's the organization that certifies all of our operators.
I've heard it before.
Yeah, so that's all the wastewater side, they set all the tests, all the criteria for wastewater.
Hi, Leonard, how are you? Nice to meet you. As I just went over earlier, just want to make sure, 5-10 minutes, whatever you'd like. Then we're going to take Q&As from the board members.
Perfect.
And then is there anything you'd like to wrap up and say, you certainly can. So you're on, thank you. And we are in receipt of your resume.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Well, my name is Leo Schemp, but my baptized name is Leonard Schemp. And I guess I hadn't thought much about the service on the board since until I was called by, actually one of the Vallecitos employees had called me up and had talked to me about Miss Ferguson's departure, and which was actually kind of unfortunate because when I worked both at Encina and at Leucadia, I admired her. She's quite a stoic and a person of deep conviction in terms of moving both Encina and really the North County in the right direction, I think. Beyond that, I like special districts in many ways much better than regular government, and what I mean to say by that is this idea of having a singular purpose, providing safe water, allows an agility and again, a single-mindedness that's requires a deep knowledge, deep conviction, and really some forward thinking. And I would just say that from a technical point of view, I feel pretty well equipped. And I guess in my mind, I would also say that from the board's perspective, you guys are doing a terrific job, because every one of your trucks, every one of your people, I think carries your personal message to everybody that's out there in the general population. The trucks look good, professional. There's a competency that I think starts from the top down, and I think that I could contribute to that. So really, other than what I wrote in my letter, I don't think there's much more I can tell you about myself other than answering your questions.
Thank you very much. Questions? Mr. Hernandez?
Yeah.
Director Hernandez?
Yes, Leo, if I may.
Surely.
Your community involvement, either here in San Marcos or in Escondido, outside of your work environment?
Well, I've been a participant at the Palomar College for over 20 years. I'm still a member of one of their advisory committees. And other than that, no. Mostly I've always been at work.
Sure.
Total.
What do you know about Vallecitos Water District?
Well, about almost 60 years of service to the community. Started out as a special district chartered by the state under the same code, I believe, that Leucadia was founded under. You have about 20,000 water customers. For some reason, you have less sewer customers. I haven't quite figured out what the 1,000 difference is. I know that you have, that you won a lot of awards at CWEA, as well as, I want to say with CSRMA, but I might be wrong there. I'm not sure what your insurance pool is. It might be the Aqua one. Almost the entire district contributes to the Vallecitos watershed, except for that small portion that's just a little bit west of Rancho Santa Fe, and then that watershed is the one that goes right down by Encina. I know that you have fairly competitive water rates, and that you both do, you treat the water up there at Twin Oaks, which I think is actually kind of, I like that idea. I'm not thrilled with the treated water that comes to Escondido or through the Rincon. They just use the treated Lake Skinner water. And I guess that's really all I can tell you.
You mentioned something about special districts. What do you know about special districts?
Well, generally that they're charters for a singular purpose, and in this case, I would say it's water services. I think that the ability to raise money just for providing the citizens that it serves with a level of service is commensurate with. I've lost my train of thought here, but this idea of a group of citizens banding together, forming the water district to ensure that it has water for its current needs as well as its future needs it provides, like I said, a very singular purpose that appeals to me. I guess from my Navy days, the idea of having a singular mission really allows an agility and the ability to leverage resources to accomplishing that is particularly gratifying.
Okay. Why do you feel you'd be a good board member?
Well, I think that I'd be a good board member because of I think I pretty well educated in the idea of not only managing the assets and the daily operations in terms of just what your expectations, and again, in terms of these levels of service, but I think that having watched the Leucadia Board for over 10 years, I recognize the value of the consensus, providing the community with leadership that is not there just to make us, a divergent point. That it's there really to ensure that there's a common good that's being served. I also think that what I've seen with this particular board is I thought that the steps you've taken to keep everything very transparent on the website was particularly good. I wanted to say that I thought that, was it 2 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when you guys were looking at the fats, oils, and grease ordinance, I thought that sort of the caution you guys took with putting off the fees for 6 months was a very sage move. I think that there's aspects of the fats, oils, and grease ordinance, for example, that are quite complex, and I think it was a good move to hold off on the fee or collecting the fees for the 6 months until more information could be gathered by staff. And the last thing I'd like to say about that, watching the Leucadia Board for the last 10 years was this literally the restraint that the board members sometimes have to show as they stay on the policy side of things and the strategic side of things, and really ensuring that the staff has the resources and the effectiveness that they want in the community, but certainly not to the point where you're crossing the line and you're talking about procedures or specific things. I think that the board's idea of and the caution that the board must put, govern themselves with is quite a important lesson I think I've learned over the last 10 years. This idea of stepping back and making sure that you're holding the staff accountable, but you're not telling the staff exactly what the means or the methods are.
Okay. What is the role of Vallecitos Water District as it relates to land use?
I actually don't think that it has a role in land use. I think that the reality is that the goal or mission is to provide water for all the residents of the service area at a advertised level of service. And certainly, if you don't have enough infrastructure, that you can't serve everybody, then you have to step forward. But up until the limits of the infrastructure itself, I don't believe the water districts are land use, governed land use.
What do you know about the Brown Act?
The Brown Act is one of those things that's, I want to say it's a state law that ensures transparency. It doesn't allow for side deals or serial meetings. It requires that the business of the district is held with a forum of at least 3 of the members, and that it's done in the public forum. There's no backroom deals. I'm sure there's the legal guys would say more, but I don't think there really is much more to it. It's a rather common sense law.
All right. What do you think is the meaning of the word integrity?
I think that every dealing is marked with honesty and good conscience, that the welfare of the good is, the good of the whole is really above self. And that, you have to have that internal honesty, you're listening to that little voice inside yourself. Sometimes it's the road less traveled, but it's doing the right thing for the right reason.
If a friend or business associate invited you to a lunch and upon arrival there were 2 other Vallecitos board members there, what would you do?
I would think that that would be a violation of the Brown Act, from my understanding of it, because again, I believe that 3 members of the board represent a quorum. But again, I'm not saying that with absolute conviction.
Right. All right, I'm going to give you another scenario. If as a Vallecitos board member, the Vallecitos Water District paid for your room to attend a workshop, and due to some inconvenience at the hotel gave you a free night stay coupon, a free night stay coupon to be used anytime you felt was appropriate, what would you do?
I think that, as a government official back in the days, the reality is we would turn those back in, that they were, part of the, I wasn't there on my dollar, I was there on the government's dollar, and I generally think that, that doesn't happen so much anymore, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'd hope it doesn't happen so much anymore.
Do you know anybody on this board or have any association with anybody on this board?
No.
Well, you ought to get to know us. We're nice people.
Actually, I've heard that.
That's all.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to ask you what your thoughts are on solving the future challenges we're going to have with the coming drought and climate change, and if you have any particular vision for 15 years down the road from now.
Well, I think that this desalinization is a great first step. I also think that the recycled water was also an absolute requirement in the semi-arid area that we live in. Interesting enough, and this is an aside, and I have to be careful about my asides because they can turn into sea stories. I was at a meeting this morning. Jerry Sanders spoke to us. He was talking about watering his lawn and drinking a stone beer. And then he went on, and it was a great little introductory story, but he was talking about watering his lawn. And I thought to myself, because there were several hundred employees in the same forum that I was at, and I was thinking that, come on, Jerry, those days are over. And, I think that any person that's in a position of leadership or has been in a position of leadership, I think that you can't talk in the area of San Diego without talking about water conservation, water reclamation, and looking for different ways of extending the public water supply. And I would say that the outreach that Vallecitos has done, the outreach that Leucadia has done, has started this very youngest generation off on the right foot. Some of us older people, I don't know what the story is, perhaps we're just spoiled by the abundance, but that's not the case. So I'm thinking going forward, much more education. And I think the water rates are certainly they're a way to get a point across. And I can tell you that at the Stone Brewery, where I'm currently employed, we're using 100,000 gallons a day of potable water. And the sad fact of the matter is the quality is so poor that I literally have to conduct reverse osmosis on 1 out of every 8 gallons just to get the 7 that is available to make a good quality beer in this area. And we are looking for ways of reusing that water. I've repiped some of it so that I have to send it to evaporating or cooling towers to get some additional use out of it before the brine goes down to the San Alejo outfall. But these are very tough issues. I guess my vision is that organizations and agencies like Vallecitos have to continually conduct studies, continue to make sure their infrastructure is as watertight as possible, and that yeah, it just stays as tight as you guys have it right now. I thought everything you had said at the last meeting in terms of sustainability, including, and it was a tough nut to crack, the electrical part. You've already trimmed all the low-hanging fruit. And so the challenges are certainly, I guess we're going to be looking for science and technology for some hope, but desalinization is certainly one of those.
You mentioned that you're currently working for Stone.
Yes, sir.
Is that on a part-time basis, a consultant?
It's
or-
it was basically a 12-month contract. They invited me to help them commission part of their plan so that we could actually start using the San Alejo Escondido outfall for our brine. And as a result, we're able to recycle about, I told you we use up to 100,000 gallons of water a day. We're recycling about 50,000 additionally and putting it back on the floor during that 24-hour period. And that allows the brine to go to safely to the environment, and at the same time it limits the BOD loading that I would put on the Hale Avenue Resource Recovery Facility and the city. I would say that of all the pretreatment facilities I've ever had the pleasure of viewing, this one is it represents quite a commitment to the environment and to the community. We're with our reverse osmosis and our membranes. Like I said, we would otherwise be using 150,000 gallons a day. And at the same time, we have the capability of overloading the wastewater treatment plant in the city of Escondido, which is a regional plant, with the amount of organic loading that we generate without doing the things that we do on site.
And which employee called you to tell you the position?
One of your field service guys, he was one of my students when I was at the Palomar College. I'd just as soon not say his name, but he'd be embarrassed.
Any other questions from anyone on the board?
No, I'm good.
Anything else you'd like to say, Leo? I'm sorry, Mr. Shimp?
I would like to know you guys better. You seem like nice people.
Well, thank you very much. and
Thank you very, very much.
Very difficult to do, we've all been there. Thank you very much. And you may stay in here if you like, or you can go outside and do whichever you
I'll do
want.
it the same way Daryl did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mike Sinella. Afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon.
You have 5 or 10 minutes, as long as you want to give us information you think that we want to hear, pushing that 90 days into 10 minutes. Then we're going to be asking questions, and then if you have any follow-up you'd like to do at the end, you certainly can.
Well, thank you. And, well, first off, good afternoon to you all, Mr. President and board directors and district staff. I first want to thank you for this opportunity in your consideration for my application to come and join you up there on the board of directors for the Vallecitos Water District. I know over the course of the years and living in the community a long time, I know some of you, so this might be a little bit redundant, but for those that I don't know, I've lived in San Marcos with my wife for 17 years. We moved to San Marcos to go to school at CSUSM, and we both are graduates from there. My wife she taught for 10 years in San Marcos Unified School District. Now she's the assistant principal at Nob Hill Elementary. And we've always been involved in the community. I'm going to go over a little bit of that in a second, but I tell you all of this because I think it's important that you know that, we love our community that we live in. We're rooted in San Marcos. We've been here a long time, and we're going to continue to be here for a long, long time as well. And I think that's important when you consider the next board member to serve with you. I've always kind of taken a active approach in community involvement. It's exactly why I stand here with you tonight, to continue those efforts. To give you a little bit of background on my civic involvement, it includes serving on the San Marcos Planning Commission. I'm currently the vice president of the board for the San Marcos Economic Development Corporation. And in my free time, I volunteer at the Boys and Girls Club here in San Marcos on their annual auction committee. I tell you that because civic involvement is important, but I also tell you that because I believe it uniquely qualifies me to apply for this position and be considered for this position that I do tonight. And let me clarify that. Being on the Planning Commission, you make decisions just like you all do a couple times a month that don't just have an impact on an organization, don't just have an impact on a company as a board, but it has an impact on the public at large. And just like the Planning Commission does when I served there, we had to take that decision-making process very seriously. And in doing so, when I was on the Planning Commission, I didn't just look at the board packets, I didn't just have my meeting with the city staff and use that information that I was given to make those decisions. Anytime there was a project before us, be it a developer project, a land use consultant, a concerned resident, I actually met with them, walked the projects, got involved, and took all of that consideration in my decision-making process. And I would intend to do that as well if we're given the opportunity to serve on the board with you. As for water, yeah, I think there's probably not another substance that any of us are more familiar with on this entire planet Earth than water, right? We use it every single day. And I know my neighbors use it, my family uses it, every business that is in our community and creating jobs and doing good things and providing services, they depend on it every single day. So I think we all know water very well. We also have some challenges with water, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here and that you're well aware of what those challenges are, but those challenges have to be overcome. Water is not one of those things that you can just do without. Everybody needs it, as I just indicated. And so if I am given the opportunity to be on the board with you, I want to use my position and the guidance as a policymaker to be up there, and the guidance and direction that I would give to district staff would be, let's lead. We know we have these challenges. That's the most exciting part about this opportunity that I see, is that we have an opportunity to lead, we have an opportunity to be innovative, we have an opportunity to really try to overcome and think of new ideas to overcome the challenges that we face with water. And hopefully I'll be given the opportunity. My professional, real quick, and then I'll wrap it up for the questions. My professional experience, I think, will help me with driving some continual improvement and looking at things differently and evaluating what we're doing, some of the things that we're doing well, maybe some of the things that we can do better. I've been in private sector business management for over 15 years. Tremendous amount of experience driving projects on continual improvement, on developing and reviewing budgets, on analyzing data before I make decisions, looking at trends, benchmarking information. I think those are some skills and some experiences, and formulating those relationships, those business relationships, just like I hope to formulate those relationships with all of you and staff, that I can bring to the board and I think would be beneficial. I hope you agree. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Q&A.
Thank you, Mike. Questions? Director Hernandez. Sorry.
Well, my question to all of the others was about the community, and my continuing question to you, Mike, is you mentioned that your community involvement was the Boys and Girls Club, San Marcos EDC, and the Planning Commission. Have you been involved in anything else within the community that you may have just skipped over because you thought there was not enough time?
There's been a number of other boards, even professionally. I was the chapter chairman of the board, chapter board president of American Society of Industrial Security, which their San Diego chapter. I've volunteered at St. Mark's Church at their annual carnival in the past. Certainly, I volunteer with my wife's career in education here in San Marcos. There seems just about once a month there's a fundraiser, or there's a Cinco de Mayo event, or something going on at the school, and certainly I'm there to support her and the kids. And same thing with my daughter. She just turned 9 years old, but she goes to Carrillo Elementary School there in Carlsbad, and there's constantly a fundraiser or something that's going on that we're volunteering at the school.
Thank you.
Okay. Director Polk?
What do you know about Vallecitos Water District?
Well, I know a few things. Most of what I've learned looking at the website and reviewing some of the past meetings now that they've been televised and they're re-shown on the webcast. I know that the district's been around for 55 years. I know that they service approximately a population of 100,000 with paying customers near 20,000, and that you get all your water from the San Diego Water Authority. So certainly I've been trying to do my homework leading up to this. It's been during the holiday seasons with kind of a quick turnaround. I've been trying to get smart about the district as much as possible, but I also know, if I can make a couple more points, just an outsider's perspective, it seems like the water district is making a lot of positive changes, especially as it pertains to your efforts with transparency and your efforts with community outreach. And I really got to give you some kudos for the televising of the meetings, and even more importantly, putting them on the webcast so they can be looked at again. For myself, and I trust the other applicants probably took advantage of this as well, but knowing that there's a possibility that I may be sitting up there here in a few minutes, it's nice that I've been able to go and go back and watch the last 6, 7, 8 meetings and kind of be able to hit the ground running.
Okay. What do you know about special districts?
I don't know a whole lot about special districts. The commissions that I've been involved with, with the Planning Commission, are a little bit different. But certainly, being involved in a board, there's going to be a learning curve. I've proven in all my other past opportunities and any other new job that I've ever taken that I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to make that learning curve as short as possible and get caught up, and be dedicated to get caught up and learn as much as I possibly can about special districts.
Okay. Why do you feel you would be a good board member?
I just think that my enthusiasm, my dedication, what I talked about with my experiences on the other boards here in the community, I understand the impact of the decisions that are made here. Be it the size of a park or the number of units in a neighborhood when I was on the Planning Commission, or here the cost of water. That's important because the ratepayers burden that cost. Even increases to cost of water on local businesses. Simple economics tell you that the businesses are going to pass that cost on to the consumer. So at the end of the day, it's the average person, all of us, that are going to be impacted by that. So it's very important. And so why I think I'll be a good board member is because I'm going to take it very seriously. And like I mentioned before with my experience on the Planning Commission, I'm going to meet with the individuals that have concerns that come before us, be it a developer, be it a concerned resident or ratepayer, and gather all the information. The other part of it too is, and this may be more of my professional career aspect coming to light here, but I'm one that's going to constantly look for ways to reevaluate what we're doing, and I don't mean just make changes for the sake of making changes, but we need to constantly look for new ideas. We need to be innovative, and really look for ways to meet these challenges that we all know that we're going to be facing, that we already face now, but we're going to be facing even more and more in the future years to come.
Okay. What is the role of Vallecitos Water District as it relates to land use?
I think the role of the district for land use, obviously, you have a responsibility to to be mindful that if there's too much growth with the available land, that there needs to be water to support the folks that are coming in that are going to use that land, and also be able to recover any cost or expenses with that. However, I would also say that I would like to see, and one of my goals and directions will be, if I'm given the opportunity, is to really promote economic development. That's probably coming from my SMEDC side of things, that I don't want to see the district, get in the way of economic development as well. And I've always been one on all the boards and commissions, and even my professional life and working, been one that's looking for common ground, looking for solutions where we can try to find a win-win. In this case, a win-win-win, because we're really looking for economic development. We're making sure that we're safeguarding the district and that we have sustainable water and that the district is financially healthy. But we also, the third win is the community. And I think the community benefits as well when we do have economic development and our land is put to good use.
What do you know about the Brown Act?
I know quite a bit about the Brown Act. We were governed by it on the Planning Commission, and I understand that there's board members that we can't get together unless it's a publicly announced meeting, and there's other rules and regulations. Serving on a board is unique, and goes back to my original point, and why I think my prior experiences on boards is uniquely qualifies me for this position, because there's things that there's rules and protocols that you won't find anywhere else but on a public board. There's Robert's rules, for example, that you may not necessarily use in your day job, if you will. So yeah, I'm familiar with the Brown Act, and I've worked under and been successfully worked under those guidelines before.
Okay. What do you think integrity is?
I think integrity is doing the right thing, and and making right decisions, even if they're not the popular decisions, even if there may be 3 or 4 folks that are going down a certain path. If it's not the right thing to do, integrity is having knowing the responsibility to speak up and to do the right thing.
Okay. I'll give you a couple scenarios here.
Okay.
If a friend of business associates invites you to a lunch, and upon arrival there are 2 other Vallecitos Water District board members there, what would you do?
I would respectfully decline the meeting, and I would leave.
Okay. If Vallecitos Water District paid for your room to attend a workshop, and due to an inconvenience at the hotel, they offered you a free night stay to use anytime you would like, what would you do with that?
I personally wouldn't take it, and this is, I didn't mention this earlier, but I work in a DOD, for a DOD defense contractor, and we're governed by a lot of rules when it comes to our travel, and I do travel for business, and we're on a per diem, and there's very strict guidelines as to gifts and how we handle our travel expenses, and so I've kind of been groomed in the professional world, and just you go there, you take care of business, you keep your expenses to the minimum, and then you go home.
Yeah, I bet you are. I bet you are.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any association with anybody on this board?
No, I know everybody but you, because I've been around the community for 17 years, but and I've seen all of them on city council meetings, and Jim and I probably 12 years ago served on the planning commission together, maybe 12, 14, I don't know, but yeah, and I don't know Betty very well, but I did meet her during her last campaign at a fundraiser, but that's using the word association loosely, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
Director Evans?
I have 2. One, I've asked all the other candidates. You mentioned that you want to be innovative and take leadership, and we definitely, as we're all aware, are going to have some innovation to do in addressing the issue of the drought and the climate change. So I just wonder what you envision are doing for that, where you think the district might be in 15 or 20 years.
I think the district is probably going to be providing water completely different in 15 years. I think we're going to have to be. And do I know what all the answers or where we're going to be in 15 years right here today? No, I don't. But I do know that there are some recent initiatives and changes in water and recycling and other ways that we handle that and conservation that are currently starting to show some signs of success. However, in getting to my point about leading and being innovative, we can't just rest our laurels on what's already kind of starting to take place with PSAL and other things. We need to constantly continue to look for ways to find new solutions. And really, obviously these things haven't come to light yet, so I can't give you a specific example of where we're going to be in 15 years. But I think as a board, if we're open-minded and we can embrace new technology and we can embrace new ideas, that's the biggest first step that you can take in being a leader, in water and for the future. So.
Then I have a second question. Do you have a understanding, or what is your understanding of who you represent as a board member for Vallecitos?
Yeah, I see it as twofold. Clearly there's divisions, and so my neighbors and those that live near me in my division, there's certainly a group of folks that I represent, right? And if given the opportunity here, I also understand I'll be campaigning in the future to be elected by that group. But I also see the board as a whole as a committee of 5 that has to work in the best interest for the entire district, and has to and for the greater good of the community. Really, when you're talking about water and conservation and all the other things that we've been talking about tonight. So I really see it as twofold. It's both. There may be some unique, specific issue that's specific to Division 4, and if it's a cause that I think is worthy to bring to the board, I may champion that. But certainly as policy makers and setting direction and giving guidance and leadership for the entire district, we have to look out for the best interests of the entire district and for everybody that we represent.
Mike, a couple of things you mentioned. How long were you on the planning commission?
I was on the planning commission for 2 years.
And how long have you been on the San Marcos EDC?
I've been on the EDC, it's been just 4 years. My term's actually up. I'm going before the city council tomorrow night. Yeah, I just finished my
Are you
my
a
second
city
term.
appointee on that?
I am a city appointee.
And the Boys and Girls Club?
Oh, I've been involved with the Boys and Girls Club since probably 2000, with maybe a couple of years of break there, but most immediately the last 4 years with the auction committee. But I've served on the auction committee, off and on for the last 10 years, and volunteered at other events there as well.
And I have a disclaimer for the board yet to come, we're talking, but political process, I think you're forgetting one thing that you did back in 2002.
Yeah.
Was it 2002, am I right?
If are you talking about the municipal utility?
No, you were running for election?
Oh, yes, I ran for office too. Yes.
No, I'm not talking about the state champion yet. You
yeah.
ran for a city governmental position?
That's correct. Yeah, I have ran
Mayor.
for public office. I've ran for city council and for mayor in the past.
Anything else you'd like to say to us?
Yeah, no. Any other questions?
No, thank you very much. Now, you're willing to sit in here for deliberations or go outside like the other two gentlemen decided? Choice is yours.
I'll check with my new friends and see if we'll do it probably as a team.
No,
one way
they
or the
decided
other.
to stay out there, but you can ask them.
Yeah.
Someone can ask.
They can certainly welcome to come on back.
Yeah,
you
well,
know.
someone want to tell them it's their choice? I had the feeling some of them didn't want to be in here for that part, but I just want to make sure they know it's their
Good point.
choice.
Okay, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Director Martin, I'll go out and talk to them
Sir.
real quick and see what they want to do.
Thank you, General Manager.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
our next conversations, aren't they public?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The entire process is public.
Yeah, no, that's
But
what.
they expressed they didn't want to be in here during, so I don't know if they want to be in here now, but whatever they
No,
want
I'm-
to do is
That's what I
fine.
thought, I just,
Yeah, it's their choice.
Yeah,
But they didn't
okay.
want to stay and watch the other people, so they might not.
well, no, I gotta believe they wanna
They
hear that.
might not want to see the, how we make the sausage, I think that's your turn.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I want to again thank you, gentlemen, for coming in and stepping up to the plate to fill this position that you know is really a temporary position only until the November election, which you may or may not decide to run for it, and you certainly can. And then if you were to get it, you'd have another election in 2 years. I know you've been through the process, you've heard this before. All your applicants, in my opinion, are great, and any one of you could fill the vacancy. So now we're going to go into deliberations, and
May I make a comment?
go right ahead.
I certainly am glad I'm not in that group. My goodness gracious, I ran and was elected, and thank God, because if this was an employment position, I would have no chance at all. All of you, your background, the information, the interviews, I was quite impressed with everyone, and I would urge, regardless of what happens tonight, if you're still interested, don't give up the fight, because I think any one of you would make a magnificent board member. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to continue with what I was saying, and the next part of that was a slight disclaimer. I do know Mike Sinella. I've known him for at least 12 years, maybe 13. When he first ran for I met him when he first ran for the mayor's position. And I believe I was probably on the council that appointed him to the planning commission, because I was in there during that term. I don't remember, but I'm just saying that is a possibility. And I would say we're acquaintances more than friends. I've never been to his house, he's never been to mine, we've never vacationed together. I mean, he is, Mike said it correctly, he knows all of us, he knows Jim, I know as well. So just kind of a disclaimer so that people understand that there is some type of already relationship. Okay, being no other questions, if anyone has anything to say, I'll start.
Well, I think they're so good, we should just add 3 more seats to the board.
We could do
And that
that.
would solve it?
We could do that.
You have to
Can we do
Have to go through the
district.
state. but we
It'd still
could
be
do
an
it.
odd number, so that'll work.
Yeah.
Was that a motion? No, okay,
Well, I don't know what you do with the divisions, but wouldn't it be lovely?
okay.
Just like to agree with what Director Hernandez said, so most of the questions I asked, I couldn't have answered when I first got on this, so you guys did a great job. Very interesting.
Okay. Then I am going to start by making the first suggested appointment. And I don't know if you want to know all my reasons why. Would the applicants like to hear reasons why? I don't know, or is that not important? Okay, then I'm just not going to. It's like, I think all 3 of you are very well qualified. But I think there's a slight tip in the balance, and I am going to nominate Mike Sinella to fill the position. And that'll require a second and then a vote.
I'll second that.
Okay, Jim Hernandez a second. Diane, like a roll call vote? Go ahead. Oh, discussion. People want discussion, discuss.
No, I'm just pointing that that is part of the procedure. I
If
don't
people want
have
discussion, discuss.
Discussion, other than to acknowledge, likewise, as was brought up in the info, I know Mike Sinella, I've seen Darrell at the meetings, but there is the same thing. No association other than I know him from the past in the community.
Seeing no discussion, Diane, roll call vote, please.
Director Evans?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Polo?
No.
Director Martin?
Yes. The motion passes. Gentlemen, I thank you very much. Congratulations, Mike. Gentlemen, please stay involved. There's an election coming in November. Thank you. Please do. Thank you very much.
Do they need to formally adopt the resolution?
Yeah, get the resolution first.
Yeah.
Okay, now we need a resolution.
Yes, sir.
Resolution
Yeah, stick
considering.
around, stick around.
Resolution. Okay. Be it so resolved. Go ahead.
This will be resolution 1439. Director Evans?
Yes?
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Polly?
Yes. What, on the resolution? Yeah.
Yes.
Director Martin?
Yes. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, now if we could have, Mike, if you'd stand up to the podium, we're gonna have our attorney Jeff Scott swear you in.
Okay, raise your right hand, Mike, and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
And I take this obligation freely,
And I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, you can
Thank
come
you.
up.
Yep, come on up and take your seat.
And being nothing else,
The rest of the
Other
meeting,
reports?
we just go through reports. Being the first, I have none.
let's go through reports.
Thank you so much.
Does Mike have a packet? An agenda? An agenda? I have an extra one.
I do have an agenda, huh?
Oh, do you? How'd you get one?
Oh, there.
He's special.
I should get mine, I showed up here today. Okay. Reports, General Manager.
No report.
Okay, District Legal Counsel.
I had a really long one, but I'm gonna pass. No, I don't have anything to report.
Did anyone want to comment on Tom's beard or lack of? Okay. Santa County Water Authority?
I would like to make one simple comment, and they have the public hearing on Thursday night regarding the climate change and operations, water operations for the district. Most of the audience that spoke were Sierra Club in Audubon and Coast Keepers and surf riders, so they were very complimentary though, and very well spoken. And I thought the most interesting thing is that their real comment of concern, and I think we should take it to heart, is that they felt that the authority or any special district should make a point of being aggressive and take strong leadership in pursuing reclamation and conservation, because that is indeed the least expensive way and the most realistic way. We don't have any proof that the water's going to keep coming from other places, so we have to do it here. It was a very well done meeting. I'm sorry none of you were there for that. It was very impressive, and I just thought, that's very true. We have a real responsibility to educate and to change the mindset. So thank you.
Was that a regular meeting or something?
It was a special meeting, that was a public meeting, it was open, I had mentioned it at our meeting, but,
I'm sorry.
and I know it was in the media clips, I probably should have done a better job of pushing it, but.
Well, I will certainly
The
try in the
presentation
future to
was
make
great.
those meetings. I probably heard you say it, but didn't click.
It's okay, I was
Thank you.
very impressed with that big full house, that was very, well, they just really stated their case beautifully.
Thank you. Okay, and Cedar Wastewater Authority, did you have your meetings that you didn't have?
No, mine's Wednesday.
No, both, okay. Director's reports on travel, conference, seminars attended? Anyone? We all attending the CASA this coming,
I am not attending CASA this week.
and two staff? Great.
Tom's going both days, and I'm going just Thursday.
Okay, comments from directors, future agenda items? Anything, I'm just making sure that our first meeting in April, we're looking at that,
February.
First meeting in April, you said?
first meeting in February.
February.
Yes, yes.
I'm way ahead of myself.
Yeah. You've got your two agendas beyond me.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. End the meeting, thank you. Close.